Welcome to the High Rankings podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Each episode will dive into the world of search engine optimization for cannabis dispensaries. We'll discuss the latest strategies and tactics to help your dispensary rank higher on search engines and attract more patients and customers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, join us as we explore how to maximize your online presence and stay ahead of the competition in the rapidly growing cannabis industry.
Hello, welcome back. We are on our 50th episode. That is bananas. That means we've been at this for a year, basically.
Damn.
I know we did take a couple weeks off at some point, probably around Christmas. Can you believe that? That's 50 episodes of people having to deal with your voice.
People love me. I think it was Christmas and it's probably Thanksgiving too.
Yeah, and people still listen. But they must be listening to me because,
No. So, yeah, I'm getting over being sick, traveling across the world in a metal tube and having somebody just cough their brains out like 3 rows behind you. Turns out you get sick.
Yeah.
So I got sick. The commission this morning was the first time I was able to hit the gym. Amoxicillin and something else for my sinuses. Sinuses are just all plugged up, and just getting over that. And I'm literally just complaining. So getting over that, head back to PT this week. My shoulder, I'm trying to put off surgery for as long as possible, at least until after the bike season. And gave the fam their gifts from Thailand, which is pretty cool. I'll just send you pictures. I gave my nephew his gift, gave my sister the fakest, I think it was like a Tom Ford purse or something. I don't know, Louis Vuitton, whatever it was. The fakest purse. And she kind of laughed. I said, oh, yeah, by the way, look inside of it. And there's all kinds of like skincare. Yeah, because Thailand's known for like skincare. The products, like coconut milk and all like the natural products and everything, face masks.
Yeah.
Gave that. So they all loved it. That was a couple days ago. Saw the fam, and we do lunch usually every Sunday. And adjusting back. It's taken like 2 weeks. We're just back to the sleeping schedule. And then I got sick. So just, like I said, just kind of poopy pants from that. But yeah, so it's going to be nice this week. And going to get back on the bike. And I just need to be more active. I hate not moving.
Yeah.
I was on such a routine of like first thing in the morning, you wake up, go get like a hard sweat, just go ham on a stationary bike for like half hour, sweat it out, and then like lift later in the day, like that kind of thing. So I'm going to get back in that routine this week. Yeah, that's about it. How about you? Take us into your incredibly riveting life.
Well, the kitchen did not get tiled this weekend. Our tile guy has been not very well. So we're hoping he'll be here this weekend, but I'm not sure. Went out on the boat for not very long, maybe like an hour and a half. We took my husband's grandma with us and we saw dolphins. So that's a good sign for the summer coming up. Not much, really. Not a whole lot going on in my life. It's kind of quiet, but it's nice that way. We're probably just waiting for summer to come now so we can spend our days on the boat. But yeah, that's honestly really not much has happened since last week that I can think of. Not been the most exciting week over here.
No new TV show?
Shit, I did. What
Netflix?
did I...
Watch Succession. Succession is a banger of the series.
Yeah, so my friend told me to watch Apples Never Fall, which I think is on Paramount. And I watched most of the first episode. I don't know if I can watch any more of it, if I'm being completely honest with you, because it just was like so overacted and just, it came across cheesy and overacted. And I just don't know if I can sit through that anymore. I thought there was something coming out on Netflix that I wanted to watch. It's not out yet, but I think it's coming out. And then on Paramount at the end, like next weekend, is a show called The Gentleman in Moscow, which I read the book and I really like the book. So I'm kind of hoping that the show is good, but most of the time the book is better, which was exactly the case in All the Light We Cannot See, which I was so excited for that show to come out and then I was disappointed with it. And so A Gentleman in Moscow is coming out March 29th. The only thing is it's got Ewan McGregor in it and I just don't know how I feel about that. So yeah, I am excited about that, but that's like next weekend, I think. So yeah. Have I watched any other really good shows? Do you know what I've been watching lately? I don't know if we talked about this last week or not. A show called The Traitors. Did we talk about this or not?
I don't think so. That's on Netflix?
It's on Paramount. I do not watch reality TV. Cannot stand it at all. Not my jam. Not my thing. I don't watch like Survivor. I don't watch MTV Rules or Road Rules. I don't watch the Housewives stuff. I don't watch any of that stuff. It's just, I can't do it. It's no, thank you. But there's this show. I think it originated in England. It's called The Traitors. And like 22 people, they go and stay in this castle in Scotland. And of the 22, a number of them are what they are called traitors. And so only the traitors know that they are the traitors. The other people who are called the faithful have no idea who the traitors are. And the idea is that the faithful are trying to figure out who is a traitor. And then they have a round table vote at the end of every day in the evening. And they vote for who they think is a traitor to try and boot them off. And then during the day, they do these challenges as a whole group. And the challenges every challenge they do, they win more money and the money goes into the pot. So the idea is whoever's left standing at the end, they win the whole pot. But say there's 3 people left at the end and one of them is a traitor, the traitor wins all of the money. So you really want to get all the traitors out before the end. So they do during the day, they have a challenge where they get money in the pot. In the evening, they have a round table vote where they try and vote out a traitor. And they kind of each put their case forward as to why they think a certain person is a traitor. And then they vote them out. And after they vote them out, they find out if they were a traitor or a faithful. And then after that, the traitors get together and they can effectively murder someone, which means that they can kick somebody else out of the game. So I don't know why I like this show so much, but literally I binge watched I think there's been 2 American versions. Oh, I'm on the second British version. I don't know how many. I think I'm on my third thing. I don't know why I like it because I hate reality TV. I hate it, but I don't know what it is about this show. I love it so much. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that would be the show that I've been watching.
And you watch it just like you just knock the whole season out, like
if it's available, yeah. So the first British one, I knocked the whole series out. I'm now on the second one of the British one. Then the first American, I don't know if I've watched 2 American or 1 American. I can't remember, but there's Australian version of it that I haven't watched, but I've watched the British and the American. The British one, the second British one just became available on Paramount and they had like the first 5 episodes of it, I think. So I knocked all those out. But then I think they're releasing the rest of them on Thursday. So I think that's how it is. But anyway, I don't know why I like it because the British one is just regular people. The first series of the American one, I think it had normal people and famous people in it, I think. And then the second series of the American one, it was just, they were like housewife people. They were people from Survivor. There were people from Big Brother. I didn't know who any of these people were, like, honestly, because I don't watch those shows. But yeah, that's how that went down. So yeah. So that, I would say that. What about you, other than Succession?
Succession, that's all I've been watching. I'll watch an episode or 2 like after like 7 o'clock. Like after I eat, 7, 8 o'clock. So just Succession. It's a great series. Very, very good. I think you would like it. It's a great series. So I've just been watching that. But there's a series on Netflix that just came out, The Gentleman. Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. I started watching that.
I want to see that. I'll watch it like next week. I thought it was a cool movie. Guy Ritchie makes dope movies. I mean, he made Snatch. That movie's like fucking cool.
Gags.
So yeah, Gags. I'll peep that this weekend as soon as I get done with Succession. I think I have like 2 or 3 episodes left of Succession. So I should be done like in a week or so.
Nice. Also, Formula One's are back this weekend, but it's in Australia, so it's at stupid o'clock in the morning.
That is a brutal time difference. You guys peep highlights, right?
Oh no, I'll watch it. I'll just stay off social media and then I'll wake up in the morning and watch it first thing. Because that's how we do. Anyway, let's get to the important stuff that we're going to be talking about today, which is leveraging question keywords. So not just regular keywords, but question keywords.
Like what context? Like leveraging question-based keywords.
Meaning identifying what question keywords are and then how best to use them within one's SEO practices.
So like first thing like popped in my head would be like, what's the difference between indica and sativa?
That's a question keyword.
Something
so it's
like
going
that.
to be like who, what, why, when, how.
Yeah.
Once you've identified your keywords, then you got to figure out how best to use them within your content.
So do you think something broad in the scope like that, like difference between indica and sativa, like a blog post?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it like
that could be your H1. what are the differences between indica and sativa?
Yeah, because
Boom.
that in itself is a keyword. So like
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it in terms of site architecture. Where could
Yeah.
these keywords go? Who, what, when, where, why? If
Mhm.
it's an FAQ page, if it's a standalone page, if it's a blog page, I
Mhm.
guess all of those should be hammered out, right? Like if you're doing in a content calendar, you think it should all be hammered out in a like first month kind of thing? Who, what, when, where, why?
Not necessarily, because they come up as you go along. I mean, I still think we do, like we have a client we've had for a long time, and I still think we use question keywords throughout, months and months down the line. I mean, like you could argue that ideally question keyword would be an H1 or an H2 or an FAQ type question, but
Mhm.
they can also be utilized within content. It's just, I think when you put them in content, sometimes it comes across as forced. Like if
What
you're just saying,
is indica strain?
yeah,
Like what are indica strains or something?
like you could be like, what are the differences between indica and sativa, which are H1? But if you put it within a paragraph of content, you've got to be real careful how you're using it, because otherwise it's either not going to make sense, the content is going to read like it's fragmented. So you kind of have to be careful how you put it in there. You can't just be like, I mean, you could, but it's not going to make sense to be like, say you're working on a qualifying condition, right? You don't necessarily want to be like, what is cancer? You're better off saying something like, when considering the question, what is cancer? It's important to know, or something along the lines of, many of our customers have asked, what is cancer? So we say, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
can't just middle be like, you're really limited on how you use it physically within a paragraph versus how you would use it like as an H1 or an H2. I think it sits better as an H1 or H2. Not that you can't use it in content, in like within paragraphs, but you gotta be careful how you do it.
And by H1, H2s, you mean like, well, specifically H2s or an H3, you mean like a paragraph header, like a topic of a paragraph.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then we should back up to as far as like, what is a keyword? It's something that you put into a search engine. What is purple weed? Then you hit enter and you get all the results. That's a keyword.
Yeah. The question keyword would be, what is purple weed? If you just wanted a keyword, it would be purple weed. Question keyword, I mean, literally by definition, is asking a question.
Now, do you think that page, given that example, would be optimized for purple weed, or do you think it would be optimized for what is purple weed? As in, what is the root keyword in that example?
Well, the real keyword is purple weed, because the intent is knowing more about purple weed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Just straight question itself. But yeah, that's
purple weed. So it'd be like the URL would be, for example, www.dispensary.com/blog/purple weed.
Yeah, it wouldn't be / what is purple weed, or no, it would be.
Yeah. And then the H1 would be like, what is purple weed? Depending on keyword volume. And okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to depend on keyword difficulty and keyword volume as to what you use for your H1. If purple weed is going to be a better option than the question form of that, then your H1 would be purple weed, and then maybe your next heading would be what is purple weed if there's volume there. You know what I mean? It just has to make sense, and not just in terms of volume and keyword difficulty, but you've got to look at your domain authority and all kinds of stuff when you make that decision as to where you go.
Also, like, what are the competitors doing? Like, or if you just do a search for purple weed, like, what's going to show up? I think a lot of times the answers are on the first page. Like, what does Google like? Is it a question based? Is it informative, non-question, or maybe it's something else?
It also depends what you're trying to do with the page, because last week we were talking about snippets.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to optimize for a snippet on purple weed, you want to look and see if there's one already there and what's on that snippet, and if not, like, do you know what I mean? So it also depends on what you're trying to achieve with the page as well.
Okay, so then why would somebody search purple weed versus what is purple weed?
Well, I think the thing about a question is, our perspective, we understand what they want to know about purple weed. So I feel like when you just type in purple weed, they could be wanting to know anything, right? They could be wanting to know literally anything from where can I buy it, who grows it, how expensive is it? They could be looking for anything. So they're literally just typing in purple weed, right? So you don't really understand the intent of what it is that they are looking for. What do they want? When somebody types in a question, i.e., where can I find purple weed near me? or is purple weed indica or sativa, or which dispensaries sell purple weed. When they ask a question like that, the intent, like the reason that they're asking what it is they want, suddenly becomes so much clearer, right? So that's why we care about the questions. And that's why we try and answer a question keyword like that. Because if they are not trying to buy, like you handle that one way versus if they are trying to buy it and you want to push them to your dispensary, you're going to handle that a different way. So yes, it's quicker to just type purple weed, but when you have an absolute intent behind what you're trying to do, then it becomes clearer with the question.
And ideally, that page that you build fulfills both fulfills the intent, right? Whether it's commercial or informative.
Yeah. Like I'll give you an example, right? We're doing renovation, okay? And I had seen on TikTok somebody painting with this beautiful blue color. And I was like, oh, I think that would look really cool in my half bath. And so I found out that it was Sherwin-Williams and it was a specific name. So first of all, I Googled Sherwin-Williams and the specific name of paint to make sure that it was correct. And then I had to Google, where can I buy Sherwin-Williams? Turns out Sherwin-Williams has a store right by my house that I guess I knew it was there, but I never really paid attention to it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But so initially I'm just Googling, oh, Sherwin-Williams paint. But now my intent is to go and buy this paint. So now I have to change my keyword to where can I buy Sherwin-Williams paint? So the intent and the understanding is now that this person on Google is trying to buy Sherwin-Williams paint. And I need to direct them to where they can buy Sherwin-Williams paint. And they can either go to the Sherwin-Williams store or they can go to Ace Hardware, which also sells Sherwin-Williams. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sherwin-Williams near me. Sherwin-Williams, pardon me. Okay, so that's the different intent of a keyword, commercial, informative. I guess another type of keyword would be like discovery. What is purple weed, for example? But all of that should be articulated on that page about purple weed. Answer all of those questions. So it just casts a really wide net for those searches to be found.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So also something else like to consider when you're talking about like question keywords, because obviously you can still bring people to your page without them, but there's actually like advantages as to why you would want to use the question keywords versus like indica versus sativa. Because typically like a question keyword, you're going to have less competition than you would for what we would call a short tail keyword, right? So clearly, what are the differences between indica and sativa is it's a question keyword, but also it's what we would consider to be a long tail keyword versus, let's say, indica and sativa is what we would call a short tail keyword. So typically with longer keywords, you have less competition to begin with. So that would be something to consider. Your keyword difficulty probably would be less of a percentage also. So that would be something to consider. Also, if you're being more specific with your keyword, that means your visitors are being more specific as well, which means you're more likely to attract specific qualified customers to your website because they're specifically looking for something that answers that question. And also, because you're using long tail keywords versus short tail keywords, you're probably going to rank quicker in your SERP results than you would if you were using a short tail keyword. So there's advantages in doing it outside of what we previously discussed as well. So just consider those when you're thinking about whether you should or when and how to use the question keywords.
Okay. How would you identify the intent behind those keywords? Pardon me. What do you think we already have?
I think we already have by literally which question they're asking: how, what, when, why. Yeah,
who,
that's
what,
good.
When, why. Well, not really the who, I guess.
Well,
I guess the who is the dispensary.
Yeah, who sells purple weed?
Depending on the keyword.
Depending on how they phrase the question. But yeah. So if you've identified the need to use like a question keyword, but you don't know like how to phrase it or what you want or if it's worth it, if it's got enough volume or whatever. Like one of my favorite features in SEMrush, I cannot speak to Ahrefs. I'm sure it's also there because they're very similar, but I can only speak to SEMrush. They have this option called the keyword magic tool. So let's say you type in SEO, right? You type in the thing SEO. There is an option that you can select within the results come up that you can either click all or you can click questions. And if you click questions, it brings up the keyword in the form of a question, and it will give you the intent behind the question, i.e. whether it's informative, etc., etc. It will give you the volume and it will give you the keyword difficulty. So it would be like, what is SEO? What is SEO marketing? How to do SEO? What does SEO mean? And each one of those, it will give you the volume and the keyword difficulty with the keyword in the form of a question. And then you can analyze those results at what works best for you. I am a big fan of the keyword magic tool for a lot of different reasons, but the question format I think is great. I remember in my initial stages of learning SEO and doing keyword research and things, I remember we were doing some FAQ type pages, website for a client, and I would use this question aspect of the keyword magic tool all the time. It was like my best friend. I used it all the time. So if you have access to SEMrush, this is going to be a great, great tool for you to be able to format your keyword in a question type format.
That is a banger of a tool, and you can check too the performance of that if you go into Search Console and you go like performance of the last 28 days, and then you can filter it by queries, including who, what, when, where, why. All of those queries that your website is found by will be listed there in the last 28 days. And then you can check your click-through rate, and from there, you can adjust your title tags or your meta description, depending on the click-through rate that you want. But that'd be the before and after. The before is getting those who, what, when, where, why keywords, like you mentioned, and then analyzing them with Search Console would be the after. And then from there, you can that's basically, that's a portion of SEO, is optimizing it from there, reading the data and then optimizing, making an informed decision and then optimizing it.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's a great tool. I mean, SEMrush is amazing anyway, but the keyword magic tool is a great, great tool to have in your arsenal. I absolutely love it. And definitely check that out for sure. Another thing that you can do if you have a specific, say, product or something that you specifically want to try and find a keyword question on, and you want to find out what people are looking for, you can use answerthepublic.com. And you can search like by Google, Bing, YouTube, and Amazon. So I just went and I looked at purple weed because we had talked about it. And it breaks it down into like the type of things. So we have how, what, why, will, are, and can. So like it gives you what people are searching for those particular ways. So like we have, does purple weed taste better? Or is purple weed fake? Can purple weed stain your fingers? How purple can weed be? Like it tells you what people are searching for. It tells you if they're highly searched, average searched, lowest searched, and you can edit it down a little bit more than that if you want to. But it's saying that the search volume on purple weed alone is like 22.2 thousand per month. I think this goes on. So yeah, you can use answerthepublic.com as well if you want to, just to kind of back up your thought process or your research.
That's a good tool. And then you can also just take that query. So like can purple weed, for example, and then just plug that into Google and then have it auto generate for you. So like can purple weed, just paste it in Google, then see what like the next 5 results are, the cascading 5 results. Can purple weed be smoked in a certain way? Whatever those queries are, that'll pop up in Google. That's a good way to see too what people are asking. And also scroll down to the very bottom of Google, past the old first page, I guess you could say. And there'll be additional questions at the very bottom too, which is a good idea. Get additional ideas. I think that kind of covers it for content creation ideas. I mean, that's a great tool on SEMrush. Answer the public. I think that's really good. See what your competitors are doing. Just using Google will go a long way as well. Assuming that there's keyword volume, looking at your competitors is a really good way to get a stand for the market. But using those tools correctly is a great way to kind of leverage yourself up higher. So pulling a small lever to pull yourself up higher and faster, leveraging those tools is a great way to do that. And then measuring the impact. To what?
I was going to say, you know what else I think question keywords are really helpful for? Say you're a new website or a new dispensary or whatever, right? So you don't have great domain authority, but obviously you want to start ranking for the things that people are looking for, right? Because That's the whole point of this. And while that's a long-term endeavor, you still want to start working on it, right? So indica versus sativa is probably not the best example, but I'm going to use it anyway. You are going to rank faster with a long-term question keyword for indica and sativa than you are if you just put indica and sativa, because it's such an oversaturated keyword, and websites that have been around longer than you have are clearly going to be higher up in the Google ranking than you are in the SERP results, right? But by doing it as a long-term keyword, that will help you rank quicker than just indica versus sativa. Like I said, that's probably not the best example of a keyword, but it's one that we've been talking about. Same with like purple weed, right? You're a new website, you're trying to rank, you don't have domain authority, you're trying to go for a keyword that has difficulty. So we already talked about how a long-term keyword is going to rank quicker. So I think in that kind of situation, using a question keyword is actually going to be beneficial to you to get you ranking quicker. I'm not saying overnight by any means, because obviously it depends on what keywords you're going for, but it's definitely something to consider when you're trying, to improve your ranking, is to go for that longer tail keyword.
Mm-hmm. And then how would you measure the performance of those keywords on the respective domain?
Analytics, the same way we measure it every time.
Yeah, pretty much. Analytics and Search Console.
Yeah, and you could try some A/B testing if you wanted to, but obviously you got to let it run for a little bit before you start messing with that. But yeah, same thing, same way you always measure it.
Yeah. And for reference, to check in Google Analytics, now that the update has been made to GA4, if you go on the left-hand side, go to Reports. So click on Reports, and under Life Cycle, click on Acquisition, and then Traffic Acquisition Session. And that will tell you the 5 main arms of website traffic, and you want to look under organic search. And then you can filter that by month-over-month performance. So in the upper right-hand corner, you can go like 30 days, and then you just click compare. Then that's where you can see how organic performance performed the last 30 days compared to the previous 30 days prior to what you're initially looking at. Mm-hmm. So basically month-over-month performance. And you can see like user sessions, engaged sessions, all that super fun data to look at. As Cass says, is so fucking boring. Please get me out of here. But data is very important, of course. And then you can go to Search Console performance, and then you can look at like click-through rate, impressions, blah, 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 all that. Super fun data to look at. But that's how you look at performance month over month.
Excellent. Well, there we go. Question keywords. I think that just about sums it up.
Yeah, we covered it inside and out, front to back.
Don't forget, you can find us on all the usuals, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. Please comment, like, subscribe, review. We should do a poll who has the least annoying voice. I'm pretty sure I would win.
Who's the pigeon on the podcast? I think we know who that is.
Anyway, as usual, you can find us in all those places. We'll be back next week with episode 51. Crazy. And we're ending this podcast just in time because my neighbor has now decided that mowing the lawn is what they want to do. And nobody needs to hear the podcast.
We're out. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the High Rankings podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found value in the insight and the tips we shared. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're feeling super generous, we would love it if you left us a review. If there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover in a future episode, or if you have any questions, you can go ahead and find us on LinkedIn or YouTube. We'll see you next time.